the divine, some aspect of the divine. Om Namo Narayanaya. Okay. So we are looking at the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So this chapter, as we know, the focus is actually on jnana-yajna. And until now, many of the shlokas that were given leading up to this, they were all different aspects of yajna we looked at. And yajna, from the Bhagavad Gita perspective, it is not just a common yajna like how it is done in the like in the traditional Hindu system, where the fire is there and the offering is made, food, ghee, and all that is offered. That for the sake of some blessing, some boon, or some wish, and it is done through the Vedic steps. But here, yajna is a symbolic thing. Different kinds of yajna are a representative of different sadhanas that a seeker does. So the here that the goal is the moksha ultimately. So, but in order to get moksha, different sadhanas are undertaken by people before they are qualified and before they are able to do the what is called as the jnana yajna. So now we are looking at that. So before I go into it, there was this one question on the somebody had sent me on that shloka which we looked at on the pranayama aspect. So in the shloka 29, it was mentioned, apane jufati pranam, pranopanam tathapare, prana pana gati rudva, pranayama parayanaha. So what is pranayama? Pranayama was mentioned as a kind of a yajna. So those who do, many of them are into pranayama. They do a pranayama yajna, and also different yogic pranayama techniques are also there. So here, what does this mean when the apana means the in breath in terms of breathing, it is the in breath, and the prana is that outgoing breath. So what does it mean that the incoming breath is offered in the outgoing breath and the outgoing breath is offered in the incoming breath? So one thing I mentioned to you, there are these techniques which are some of you may be familiar, like the practices of Kundalini Kriya and all that. There, it is a reversal happening. So you're breathing in and you're visualizing the energy going in an upward way, opposite way. But here, actually, Shankaracharya's thing is a very simple explanation. What he says is that when the incoming breath is offered to the outgoing breath, meaning there is a kumbhaka that is there in between. That first thing is puraka. Puraka is inhalation. And then you do the kumbhaka where you're holding the breath. And then you exhale and again hold the breath. So that out exhalation is rechaka, and then again there's kumbhaka, meaning withholding. So when the inhalation is withheld in kumbhaka, then what happens? That natural next step of outgoing is withheld. So the pranayama is all that, like most people who do pranayama, like you are trying to breathe in, you hold, and not normal breathing, right? If it's normal breathing, then it's not pranayama. So when you breathe in, you hold, and then you after some count, you exhale and you again hold. So this is a pranayama method. So here he is offering. So the yajna here is that you are offering that next thing, which is incoming or the outgoing, into that kumbhaka. I mean, by holding the kumbhaka, meaning you are extending that inhalation or extra exhalation. So that then it becomes a pranayama. So that pranayama is also a kind of yajna. Those who do it with the right spirit of understanding, and those who do it for the purposes not just for a like some better breathing, but for the sake of higher realization, for the sake of inner progress and spiritual progress. For them, it becomes a yajna. Even the pranayama becomes a yajna. So similarly, the next shloka was there. Apare niyataharaha pranan pranesha jufati. So the others are into diet, meaning diet, meaning here, like, many things are there, like fasting, and in like especially in certain traditions, the Ekadashi is a big day, where certain foods only you are allowed to take. You cannot take certain like grains and all that, like rice, wheat, and you are only allowed to eat certain kinds of food, and they are supposed to help you so that you can focus the mind, and yeah, on that auspicious day, tune that mind more and more on spiritual practices. So here the diet also is like that, so what is the offering of the diet? So here prana and praneshu, so here again prana is mentioned, but here the prana is the that pancha vayu prana, the five vayus we discussed, that prana, apana, udana, samana, vyana. So these are the different pranas we had discussed. So these are called as vayus, meaning movements within the body, the movements of wind in the body. So digestion is one of the important things. So when you withhold the digestion, meaning when you control the digestion, what happens? That digestive fire, that aspect of prana which is involved with digestion, which is samana. Samana is the vayu, the one which is involved with digestion. That goes into all the other things, meaning it strengthens the other one different way. Of course, in a controlled way of diet, like what happens is, see, the all that energies are dependent on each other. That is why, we should not abuse any one energy too much. Then what happens? Other energies get affected. But if you are able to regulate any one energy, one of the pranas, one of the vayus, then the others also are helpful, not just for physical thing. So it is also for the mind, so the mind becomes more sattvic, the mind is more withdrawn, so so there are different kind of things like that. So diet is a very big thing in the sadhaka's life. What kind of food you eat, it is mentioned in other Upanishads. Some portions go for the body, some get eliminated, some actually go on to become the mind. The mind meaning that our culturing of the mind, the personality that is shaped by the kind of food we have. And you will see this, like if you have a very heavy, dense food, you will not feel like meditating or even studying and all that. That I think is not there. And even if you have two certain exciting kind of food, rajasic kind of food, you will not be able to focus. So the here the what is the yajna? The yajna is that you are offering the control of your diet for the purpose of better regulation of all these pranas in the body. So this is the yajna, this is the sadhana here. The sadhana in the shloka number 30. So now we have looked until this. Now he is going to talk about the uh, he's going to summarize these things. What is the results of these yajnas, and how does this connect to knowledge? Because this chapter is mostly trying to talk about knowledge. So it may seem like we have digressed away. He's talking about something else. So it is not a digression, it is a means to show the comparison. When you indulge in these sadhanas and their limited results, and compared to that or higher than that, as he will say later, Shreyan, so superior to that is the jnana-yajna. So that the thing is going to be mentioned. So now let us look at the shlokas. Okay, so okay, you can all join me now. You can repeat after me now. So shloka number 31. Okay, so those of you who can, please join after me. Yajna seshtamrita bhujo
यज्ञशिष्टामृतभुजो
yanti brahma sanatanam
याति ब्रह्म सनातनम्
सनातनम्
नायल्लोकोऽस्त्ययज्ञस्य
नायल्लोकोऽस्य
लोकोऽस्य
यज्ञस्य
कुतोऽन्यः कुरु सत्तमा
कुतोऽन्यः कुरु
कुरु
सत्कर्मणः
सत्तमः
एवं बहुविधा यज्ञा
एवं बहुविधा यज्ञा
वितथा ब्रह्मणो मुखे
वितथा ब्रह्मणो मुखे
कर्मजान् विद्धितान् सर्वान्
कर्मजान्
कर्मजान्
विद्धितान्
विद्धितान्
सर्वान्
सर्वान्
एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे
एवं ज्ञात्वा
ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे
विमोक्ष्यसे
श्रेयान् श्रेयान् द्रव्यमयाद्यज्ञात्
श्रेयान् द्रव्यमयान् यज्ञान्
द्रव्यमयान्यज्ञा
ज्ञानयज्ञः परन्तप
ज्ञानयज्ञः
ज्ञानयज्ञः
परन्तपः
परन्तप
सर्वं कर्मखिलं पार्थ
सर्वं कर्मखिलं पार्थ
ज्ञाने परिसमाप्यते
ज्ञाने
परिसमाप्यते
परिसमाप्ते
Do this one also. Tadviddi pranipateन
तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन
प्रणिपातेन
परिप्रश्नेन सेवया
परिप्रश्नेन
परिप्रश्नेन
सेवया
सेवया
उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानम्
उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम्
ज्ञानम्
ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः
ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः
Okay. So now he's this topic of yajna. He's going to summarize. So all those who are all the offerings of the yajna, after all the yajnas are done, there is going to be something called as some remaining, meaning some leftovers will be there of that yajnas. So those which is left over is considered something like a prasada, like a when an offering is made, then whatever is left over is like a prasada, or here he is calling it as amrita, amrita bhujo. So these who are prasada, meaning those who take off that, meaning what is meant is really when you do some action, you will get a result out of it, some blessing out of it. So even for example, if you do a prayer, if you pray, what happens? One thing is immediately you get a drishtapala. What is the potentially the drishtapala when you do a prayer? Anybody? Or any meditation? Even if you do a meditation, drishtapala meaning a seen result. What can you get immediately? There is a adrishtapala and the drishtapala also.
Peace of mind.
Good. Peace of
chitta
mind.
shuddhi.
Chitta shuddhi. So there is a sense of peace. Anything else? Okay, so these are okay, correct. So there is peace of mind, there is chitta shuddhi, and also there is a sense of well-being also we get, right? When we do a prayer, as we feel like something has happened. And there is a adrishtapala also. So when we talk about adrishtapala, it is mostly related to the Vedic or the religious thing. So there is some punya, some merit, something we get out of that. So now people who are doing these things, they will definitely get some results. So any sacrifice you make, you will get some result. Any effort you put into, you will get a result. Drishta and adrishta. These are the results that are certain. Now those who don't do any of this, so we have people who are not interested in any meditation, they're not interested in prayers. So why is it they are not interested in this? What is what is different in somebody who is doing this yajna? What different understanding he has, or what different vision that he will have? Anybody can think about it? Somebody who's, why is that what he's doing is uh, why is it that some people are doing it and some people don't do it? Huh? What kind of different vision does this person have?
Vision of higher life, or maybe lifetimes after lifetimes.
Very good. So there is a vision of something higher, something superior to be attained than the material things. So a person who is interested in material things does not want to sacrifice. He has never thought about having any kind of inner peace or happiness. See, even if you want to, the world is based on give and take. If you want a good relation with somebody, you have to give something, right? You have to develop, you have to invest something in that relationship. Meaning you have to give something, you have to help them or something. Then only that there is a relationship. So similarly in the world, in that thing, if somebody wants some higher benefit, some peace of mind, like even those of you who take time to come to study, there is an interest to develop at a higher level, not just at the worldly level. If there is interest only at the worldly level, then what happens? Even this world is not for you. That is what he is saying. Those who do not perform sacrifices do not gain even in this world. So, some sense of sacrifice and some sense of a higher intention, if it is not there, so from the point of karma, what it means is also that you will go to a lower world because this world you didn't justify it. So this is a more from a uh, cosmological level, that if you don't do good things in this world, then your punya stock will go down and you'll go to the next lower world. Now he's saying that not just this, why you won't even get higher world. So here the most of the yajnas that were done in the karma kanda thing, that is originally done for the higher lokas. To get higher lokas was the goal. The heavens and all this was the goal of all the sadhakas who are doing that. So all the sadhanas, they did want to get to a higher life. Even in the different spiritual terminologies, you will hear this. Some, this is the physical world. There's an astral world. There's causal world. So this goal is always to go to a higher locus, higher world. But here the goal, so that is the from that perspective. But the point from the knowledge or the wisdom is that to be free from all the worlds, to go beyond all these worlds. But however, he's mentioning that even those who want to go to a higher world, that person has to do yajna. When he does yajna, he offers something. So I mentioned this, in the other class I might have mentioned. So when the original thing, the three desires that motivates people, right, when they come to do yajna. First, they come to do yajna where they have putreshana, meaning they want to have family and all that. Then wealth, they want to have prosperity. Then higher lokas. But as they go deeper in the yajnas also, that children and the money is a means for going to higher loka. So even they become a subsidiary, meaning they are lesser in priority. The child, you want a son because he will do the rights for you. And you want the wealth because you can do the yajna and offer gifts, donation. And the idea is you go to higher lokas. So here the Lord is saying, for somebody who's not even willing to do any sacrifice, who's not even willing to give anything, and doesn't have a higher spiritual intention, that person, even this world is not for him. So this is a point that he mentions. Now comes he summarizes in the next one, evam bahuvida yajna vitata brahmano mukhe. So these are the various kinds of sacrifices or yajnas that have been mentioned in the Vedas. Brahmana here means Vedas, and we can also say these are the means to approach that Supreme Lord through stages. You do these things and you get Chitta Shuddhi, and you are moving towards the closer to the Supreme. So that step by step process, is mentioned. So here, point. So here Shankaracharya says that so here basically when all these actions are done, these are means these are various things done. Now karmajan viddhitan sarvan evam jnatva vimokshase. Know them all to be born of action, meaning these are all karmic. So he is referring here to in what is called in our Vedas as karma kanda. So these are all born of actions, meaning you will get a result and that is born of action, and it is only for a certain time you have that. Unless you are keeping on doing that action, it will start going down and down. So these are all born of action. So ultimately, when will that action come to an end? When can you rest without action? When can all this action find its fruition? So then he says, Tan sarvan evam jnatva vimokshase. Meaning, knowing this, knowing that these are all action itself, meaning they are continuous uh, cycles of action. And it will not give you that final liberation just by action, knowing that itself is a means to freedom. So here, of course, it's connected to the next shloka where he talks that, they all are worth it only when it becomes a means to knowledge or wisdom. So what is that knowledge? That knowledge is that Atma is not a karta, that the self, ourself, is free from all actions. So as long as we are doing actions, we are not abiding, or we are not realizing the true nature of self. So these actions, meaning actions are born of three kinds. Yajna is also done of three kinds. So there are three kinds of actions. I think I must have told you all this. There are all actions can be done only through three means, primarily for results, and they are kaika, vachika, manasika, body, speech, and mind. But these are not born out of Atma. These are born of body, these are born of mind and speech. These are all aspects of these are all like where the self is misunderstood to be that. But the Atma is not the body, Atma is not the speech, Atma is not the mind also. So this Atma is free from all that. Knowing this thing that the self is free from all that, then we are that actionless Atma. You will be freed from the bondage of everything. So, how does another way to say is that all actions, when there is action, what is preceding action? Any action of kind. What precedes action? What makes us do action? Can anybody say based on it?
Senses.
Desire, Swamiji.
Desire. Very good. Yeah, desire is the means to action. Jnana, kama, karma. So the all actions have some desire. Desire for happiness or desire to be free of suffering. Both are the means for action. So any kind of actions are based from that. So these are always they are by itself somewhat tainted because of that inherent aspect of desire. So they will keep us bound. So all desires, initial desires are these three purusharthas. There are the kama, artha kama, and even dharma. These are the purusharthas that for which it is meant. Now he comes to this point of jnana. What is the perspective? How else it is different? What is difference between the action and knowledge? The path of action, where will it take you? At the most, it will give you rewards, and those rewards have a time. You work for 1 month, you will get a salary, and that salary will last you for some time, right? You'll again have to work, get salary, and again that salary will last you for a time. So this is how the actions are. Everything, even punya is like that. You get punya for some time. That punya will allow you to stay in a certain loka. And once that punya is gone, exhausted, then what? You will have to again work to get that punya. So this is the means of action. This is how action will operate. But knowledge is different. Why? Now we'll talk about knowledge. So he first compared. So he has done all this work. He has laid the foundation now, right? By explaining all these yajnas. Now he concludes and points out why we went in that direction. Shreyan dravyamaya yajnat jnana yajna parantapa. The of all these yajnas, they are all based on some material. Even the Vedic yajnas of all kinds, they have some material that have to be offered, something that has to be offered in that yajna. So even in all the sadhanas, there is a material aspect involved. Most of it, meaning not literally material, like when you're doing pranayama and all that. So there again, the body has a matter, and that energy, there those are offered. And when you are doing other like forms of prayers, everything has a some aspect of those things that's being offered there. That is based from our body, mind, and speech, and all that. So, but most importantly, from the traditional point of view, when you do some yajna, you offer some material, either as gifts to those who do it, or in the fire itself you do it. So these things, what they do, they will give you results, and the results can range from material results to the attaining the lokas, higher lokas. So basically, what is happening when you attain a higher loka, you are having a higher, better field of experience. So this is the same thing, right? Like if you are in a broken down hut, your experience is not that enjoyable. If you are in a like a big palace, that experience is more enjoyable. Similarly, lokas are like that. You have a better field of experience, but they will also they are time bound based on the amount of like bank account you have, the punya karma account. You will get that. But knowledge is not like that. It is not produce you of a result like that. Like a material result is not what knowledge produces. What knowledge produces, it points out to your true nature. It doesn't produce a new result. So that what knowledge produces is that it points to that reality of who we are. We call it sometimes a self-realization. That realizing our true nature of self, realizing the true nature of God. So from this perspective, self-realization, God realization, they're all the same thing. So knowledge is that which produces it doesn't produce a result which is not, you don't have. See, all actions will give you something which you don't have now. It will give certain something new. But knowledge will produce that which it will reveal, that it will discard that ignorance and reveal that truth just as it is. So truth is not something that is like, that needs to be produced. Like we say, okay, now the truth has come out, or now the truth is there, or has. So basically what it is that truth was there all the time. We didn't know that, and now we know it. And now what is the reason, what is the value of all that knowing of that truth? That so here he says, that Shreyan Swadharma Dravya Yajna Maya Yajna Parantapa. Sarva Karma Akhilam Partha Jnane Parisamapyate. When that knowledge is realized, all actions, they will culminate in that. Parisamapyate. So Shankaracharya gives an example, just as how all the rivers merge into the ocean. The purpose of all the actions we were doing so far, as actions got purer, we start moving towards the ocean. So all these actions, ultimately, they go to the ocean. Similarly, all actions, all rivers go to the ocean. So all actions, they will culminate in that knowledge, which is like the ocean. Now, here are a couple of things to understand this. It's like, when we say Shreyan, Shreyan means literally, here it is used as superior. But the word Shreyas, those who came to the Katha Upanishad, Shreyas is that for which is meant for leading us to moksha, leading us to supreme happiness, supreme realization. So the happiness is the worldly happiness or the higher happiness. So that which is superior, what is higher here is indicated as a path that goes to jnana. That is indicated as the higher means here, Shreyan. Now, when we compare, is the comparison something like as we say sometimes, like that is a path and this is a path. And as I say, all roads lead to Rome, right? So is it something like that? No, he says, here it is not that kind of comparison. Like if, for example, you have to go to from one place, I'll give you an example here. From Rishikesh, you have to go to Haridwar. So somebody they take a car, it is better, it will go, it is much more comfortable. And then somebody will say, no, take a bike, it is faster, the traffic might be there. So these are perspectives. So ultimately, you will go to Haridwar. That is how the things are. So when we talk about knowledge, is it just another path? So this is sometimes a misnomer. People don't get to proper understanding. So he says here, what he's saying here is that sarvam karma akhilam, meaning all the actions in their cumulative effect, they will lead to the knowledge, meaning all that actions you have done, all that sadhana you have done, everything culminates where it culminates to bring you to this knowledge, bring you to the path of knowledge, and ultimately to the realization of that knowledge. So all the actions we did so far, especially the net result of that action, like the punya karma of that, they have brought us to this point. And this is not like a comparison. There is no real comparison when he says it's higher, it is better. It is not like how I gave that example that, okay, you go by a bike, it's faster, or you go by a car, it's much more comfortable. But you will get there. No, karma will take you to that knowledge path, and from that realization of knowledge is where you get to the destination ultimately. So this is where the difference is in how the paths are compared, and the knowledge also, that all the knowledge we have gained so far. Different knowledges we might have gained. I've gained knowledge through college. I gained knowledge through, some friends or some parents and all that. Now, this knowledge is that knowledge that is a supreme knowledge. So, yet it is not like a knowledge of an objective thing. It is a knowledge of a subjective thing. And knowing this one knowledge, we have that essence of all other knowledge. So this is what a very famous shloka, eka vijnanena sarvam vijnatum bhavati. So knowing that one thing, everything else is known. So there that student has studied lot of things, and he comes to the teacher and he says, I studied this vidya, that, and all that, many years and all that. So the teacher asks him, did the teacher teach you that one thing through which everything else can be known? So then this was, no, I learned a lot of things. What is that one thing, that through which everything else can be known? So that is that knowledge we are talking about, that one essential truth based on which the essence of everything is realized. So, so there is one more example given here by in the Bhashya. There is in olden days a game of dice. In that game of dice, there are four different numbers on four different things. course, if you take it literally, it will be what, six things. But here he gives an example of four. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4. So when different people are throwing the dice, but the person who puts that thing and gets four, he wins all of them, meaning he beats all of them. So similarly, he's saying that all that other things, all the other numbers, they're all covered in this number four. All the lower kind of actions and paths and all that, they're all covered in this. So again, we shouldn't do it like a comparative ways. We have to understand what is it talking. When I was doing action of any kind, even any kind of action and sadhana and all that, I had that feeling I was the doer. I'm doing this and I'm getting that. So that without that sense of doership, action is not possible. So, I mean, at least in the world, that kind of a thing. But of course, here we are trying to purify that also to be free from that sense of doership, but not just by doing action itself. We are using knowledge here to become free from that sense of doership. Then you can do actions. Then it is okay. So why it is okay? Because from that karmic equation also, all these actions have piled up and created what is called a sanchita karma. There's a whole storage of all these actions. When you realize that you're not the doer and you're not the enjoyer or sufferer of this, what happens? This stock of karma will no longer be connected to you. So this is why, we say how ultimately freedom comes from karma. All the karma we have accumulated. Sometimes people say, I did so much karma, so much things and all that. Then we all have this sense, right? When it comes, oh, maybe that time I did that, that was not good. Maybe because of that, I cannot go further. I cannot achieve realization in this life. Why? Because that bad thing you did. Similarly, right? Like if somebody does a criminal act and he's sentenced for life, then his life is gone, right? He cannot do anything. Similarly, people tend to equate that. But here, the spiritual path, the path, when you come to knowledge, it is not like that. You can be free of all that stock of karma, provided you are able to abide in that realization of self. And of course, in order to do that, you need chitta shuddhi. And for chitta shuddhi, you need karma, like in sadhana and all that. But the possibility is always there. That endless capacity to be free from all the past set of karma, the future karma, and even that present prarabdha karma. You can become a detached observer of your own prarabdha also. So this is this here he points this thing. Now this aspect of explaining all the yajnas and comparison to jnana-yajna also he has kind of mentioned. So we have to now understand what has been said so far is all these karmas as sadhanas are good, provided you are doing it for the chitta shuddhi, for the purity of heart, purity of mind, and through which you become capable, interested, and willing to seek that knowledge of the truth, the ultimate truth. And when you are interested and ready to take that thing and move towards this path, then what? Then you start doing what is called as jnana-yajna. So now the topic of jnana-yajna, he's going to elaborate and why this is the most superior, and he will mention a few things. But first thing, how is jnana-yajna done? How do you go about doing jnana-yajna? Dravya-yajna was easy. You put objects, you offer gifts, you offer material things to people and all that. It was very easy. Now the pranayama and diet, fasting and all that also was easy. Then there is all the mantra sadhanas, japa sadhanas. So there you're offering your speech, your mind and your thoughts and all that. So until all this was easy. Now, how do you go about getting jnana? How do you start even on the jnana-yajna. Like do I have to look for some fire? And sometimes people say, okay, then put all your books in the fire. No, no, it's not like that. So here we are going to do jnana-yajna through this thing. He says, tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So he gives 3 pointers to start this process of jnana yajna. And in fact, this is also the point we discussed in the Kenopanishad before the student goes to the teacher. What he has done. So he has examined the world, he has examined the nature of actions, and that actions will give you always finite results, which are time bound. So he wants something beyond this finitude. And he has realized, and he has sought out the teacher, and he goes to the teacher. How does he approach that teacher? Of course, here again, these are words given in a traditional Indian kind of thing, and especially those of you who are in a very more modern thing, it is you don't have to take it to that extreme thing. But generally, like even in traditional things, how it is done, he mentions here. So the first thing is tad vidhi pranipatena. So to get that knowledge, to realize that truth. Pranipatena. Pranipatena means like a wholehearted prostration, meaning a bowing down in a more traditional thing, in a traditional ashram here, where we go sometimes to our gurus or our things. Of course, in our case, it is our sannyasa guru and all that. So there, what we do is we have to do something called a ashtanga, sastanga. Sorry. This is sastanga pranam. Sastanga means eightfold, 8 aspects of self. 8 aspects. So they include the different parts of the body. We bow down, we touch the head, and we bow down completely. So this is what Shankaracharya here calls it as the dirgha. What is the word he uses? Acharyan abhigamya, meaning bowing down to Acharya. Pranipatena prakarshena nichai patatam pranipataha dirgha namaskaraha. So he says dirgha namaskaraha, which is that referring to sastanga, sa ashtanga, 8 limbs of the body will touch. It includes also that speech and mind. You're offering your speech and mind. So this is again, for a more traditional guru, more like who is your diksha guru, your one whom are taken as a not. You don't have to do it. So there are different pranams. Sometimes we can offer just a humble way of bowing down, bending the head, or just touching, just bowing, touching the feet. So all these are there. So here he mentions the pranipata. That's the first thing, meaning the mind has a little bit of humility, willingness to listen, willingness to take something as a higher thing. Because as we know, the example given is that water flows from the higher level to the lower level. Similarly, knowledge, they say, it flows from higher to the lower. And then what you can ask questions, but what should be the nature of the questions? This, in the Viveka Chudamani, there's a beautiful thing. The teacher, the student goes to the teacher and he asks a question. Ko nama bandhaha, katamesha agataha, katam pratisthasya, katam vimokshaha. Kosavanatma paramakha atma tayor vivekaha katametadutyatam, he says, meaning the nature of questions, the 7 questions. What is the nature of bondage? And how this bondage has come about? How it is continuing? How to be free from it? And what is the nature of Atma? And what is the difference between Anatma, and how to know the difference between these two? So these are the more like a profound questions. Of course, we can ask other questions also, but the idea is that we are not asking questions just for a material level. At this point, we are seeking the ultimate truth. We want to ask questions on that level. So inquiry is a healthy means of communication, because the path of knowledge is not based on blind faith. You are not forced to be obedient. You're not forced to take that guru or take that thing. Huh? So here you can use your reason, you can use your wisdom, and that gaining of that should make you ultimately that guru is that your own inner self. So you're just using the outer means, but you're showing respect to that. You're showing willingness. Huh? So that is the point that is mentioned. And then pariprashnena sevaya. Huh? So how do you, after that, what do you do? Shankaracharya says, Guru Shushushaya evamadina. So where possible, we should offer some seva, because seva is a means to as they say, time is money, right? So, as I say, time is the money. So this aspect of using the time, the offering of one's time as much as possible is a much superior offering than material offering. But of course, those who want to offer something, that they can offer also material things that will be of some use, as we looked at in the other text. But most importantly, that willingness to offer something. That in like as a sense of gratitude, as a sense of but as such the knowledge is not to be given. The teacher is not giving that knowledge with that expectation, the real knower of truth. So that is why he says, what if you do this, what happens? Upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So if you are showing this, then they get the thing that you want the truth only, because you're willing to show humility, you're willing to offer something, you're willing to inquire serious questions, then they know you want the truth, the ultimate reality, which will free you from all sufferings. You're not seeking temporary solutions. Like there is what he says, tattva darshina. Tattva darshina means not somebody who is going to give you like a relative knowledge, the one who is going to give you the ultimate knowledge. So relative knowledge also people are willing to give, right? Especially in India, we call everybody guru. Even if they're going to give you some relative knowledge, we call them guru. But that is not the one we are looking for. We're looking for somebody who gives the ultimate knowledge. Okay, so this we will look at again in the next class. Now, just briefly, some manana is here. Now, what are the various ways I seek to appease worldly authorities to gain personal favor? This is like from the aspect of yajna. So, in the worldly ways also we do yajna by offering something, but there the goal is what we need some personal favor. Similarly, we bring the attitude where we say, similarly, do I worship gods and deities for the attainment of material benefits in life? So all of you can just do some manana or your own introspection on this. The scriptures and sages say that it is superior to seek the supreme spirit and to be established in the divine state than to seek after hundreds of worldly goals, which are impermanent in nature. What do I need to do to embrace such values and perspective in my life? How can I prioritize seeking goals that are long-term, inwardly uplifting and beneficial for others as well? So from that perspective of yajna, even when we do yajna, meaning actions, any action in the world we do. So that action that we are doing, that also if it is embedded that we are doing this for the sake of purification, for the sake of our own kind of a progress on the spiritual path, then those actions are helpful. So that is also the perspective of karma yoga. We do all actions as so we can offer them to the Lord. The arpana buddhi. Okay. Any questions, comments people have?
Swamiji,
Yeah, Flavia.
I was reading a book in Ramana Maharshi. He said that we have to give up also the knower. And I was thinking about myself because I think I really have this urge to know and to reflect. And sometimes I think it's a little bit exaggerated, and I don't know, it's a bad thing. You know what I mean?
See, these are all told from the ultimate perspective. Huh? So when somebody like Ramana Maharshi or some realized master is talking about it, they talk mostly from that ultimate level. So as a sadhaka, what happens is once we are in the search of ultimate truth, that sense of knower is channelized into knowing that supreme reality as a stepping stone. So we are reducing that sense of knowing of worldly things to wanting to know the supreme reality. So this is a stepping stone, and we know also this is a stepping stone here. So this kind of knowership is okay for the for the means of being on the path. But ultimately, yes, he's right. Ultimately, we have to let go of that also. But that, if we are already on that proper path for gaining that liberation, it will happen naturally. And so also you see the yajna here. Huh? What is that yajna? Jnana-yajna. Huh? We are offering our we see what are we offering? I know we discussed this. Huh? What are we offering in jnana-yajna? Because yajna is we are offering something, right? What are we offering in jnana-yajna?
Avidya.
Avidya. Then also what else?
We bow down, so we surrender and we are humbled.
So that actually, what is that is significant of is that, so there it is that my present knowledge, what knowledge I have is I'm offering to that higher knowledge, meaning not just avidya, sometimes we call it as ignorance, right? But what avidya also has is this wrong knowledge. So we are embedded with this wrong knowledge, which we offer, in this case, as Deepika was saying, to that guru. It's for the higher knowledge, or the scriptures. So this is the wrong knowledge we are putting, so that we can get the higher superior knowledge. Okay, and then one more point. If anybody has any question, you can ask. If not, I have one more thing just to ask all of you, so you all get this thing. So we have to remember, yajna is different from some other austerity or some other sacrifice, worldly sacrifice. So what are the components that make yajna different from a worldly sacrifice? What becomes a yajna, a sacrifice of yajna, compared to a worldly sacrifice we make? Worldly sacrifice, let us say, for example, you want to become you want to pass an exam. So you give up some other activities you're doing. You give up maybe some part-time job, and then you focus on this. So that was compared to here a spiritual sacrifice, like doing sadhana. What is the difference?
One is for the divine, and the other one is just for self-attain, self the ego.
Yeah, very good. And so every yajna has to have some kind of a spiritual content to that, meaning it has to be done with some kind of a spiritual aspiration to attain the divine or attain that supreme reality. And also it has to have a sense of sacrificing a lower thing. So you are offering a lower thing for getting a higher thing. This is also in the worldly thing. But there you're giving maybe you're giving one job so that you can study and pass an exam to get another job. So here you are giving up your like a body or body senses, the enjoyment of the body and senses for attaining that some spiritual thing. So there is a giving up of the lower to get something higher. So these are the two aspects of yajna. So here jnana-yajna in that is the highest, where we are giving up the lower forms of knowledge to attain the higher forms of knowledge. And that knowledge is the knowledge of the Supreme, the Divine. Okay. Okay. Let us say our closing prayer. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Narayana. Namaste. Okay. All right. Namaste. So we will